This morning I am preaching on the busyness of life. And a little disclaimer, this message was very easy for me to write, but also very hard for me to write, because I am in the thick of it. Usually pastors are like, oh, I struggled with this years ago. And I'm like, no, I'm struggling with this right now, right here. The busyness of life. And what a toll that kind of has on us, and a subliminal toll, or maybe a subconscious toll that we don't really think about much or recognize. And for me, as I was writing this message, it was just God was over and over and over and over again just kicking me right in the butt. Because I'm busy. And I keep myself busy. And sometimes I'm busy in a pointless way. And I think we all kind of do that at times. And so this message today, I'm just saying, I'm right there with you. If this hits today, and I'm right there of, man, I need to work on this with God. I got to work on this. So just a little disclaimer, but I think a lot of us struggle with busyness. I think our culture pushes busyness, or pushes this busy life, this 100 mile per hour life all the time. I think it pushes it so hard. And how many of you guys, even this morning, say, hey, how you doing? And your response immediately is good, but busy. Tired because I'm busy, right? All the time. Anyone, all ages, everyone says that. Even people who retire, the space of life specifically made to slow down. People become more busy than they were when they had full-time jobs. Moving to Florida, playing pickleball, whatever you're doing. Whatever you're doing, right? It just, at all ages, usually you just think of like, all right, maybe like the people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or whatever are super busy, which they are all the time. You wake up and the first thing that you do is maybe check your phone for different notifications, or who texted you, or emails, or whatever news outlet you use. And then maybe you're going and you're getting your kids ready, or you're getting your husband ready for the day, right? And you're getting things together, and then you go to work, but you're thinking about the 6 different things that you have to do for the day. You have to pick up a potato salad for whatever dinner that you have that night, because it's the summer and we're constantly eating potato salad. And you have just all of these things that you have to worry about. On your lunch break, you have to go and do whatever you have to do. And we're constantly juggling all of these things. And then in all of the margins, we're filling it with different podcasts, YouTube videos, music, or news outlets. And we're constantly being stimulated. We're so busy. Now, when you get home, you have to go to 18 different sports events that only one of your kids are doing. Even children, our kids or teens specifically, because I work with teens, I think, at least over the past 29 years that I've been alive and have paid attention to this, so maybe whatever many years, I think teens are the busiest they've ever been. They're expected to have phenomenal grades. And now they're doing like college courses in 10th grade. I didn't do my college course until I got to college, where they're supposed to be. College courses so early on, and all these AP courses, so that you have to be able to get into this college, right? You have to be playing different sports, a sport each season. But now sports are to where like soccer, you have to play it all year round, or else you're not going to keep up with everyone else. Practices are so long, right? But you also have to be volunteering. Me as a youth pastor expects you to be at every single youth event I ever do. All Wednesday nights, right? Some weekends here and there. And then they have friends and their social lives, and then the chores and whatever else their parents expect them to do, and it is crazy. I was listening to a student. He was talking about how he went from one sports practice right after school and then traveled to Buffalo for another sports practice that started at 9 o'clock at night. This is a Wednesday afternoon, and I'm getting home at like 10:30, just like, this is so much. And maybe for a season, that's a wonderful thing, right? Sports are awesome. I love it, and they have so many benefits. But we live this life of busyness. And John Mark Comer wrote a wonderful book. It's called Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's a great book. I haven't read it yet. I've been too busy. But I listened to, he did this whole kind of thesis presentation, sermon, whatever you want to call it, at a large pastor's conference. And I was listening to that. And so a lot of this information that I'm going to talk about is from that book or from that sermon. So you can go watch that and kind of get all sorts of different stuff. He really dives deep into our culture of busyness. But he talks about how busyness is one of the largest killers of the American spiritual faith today. And you might be thinking to yourself, maybe, I don't know if I really agree with that, of like, what about all of the different temptations that our culture presents? You know, what about atheism, or what about this kind of post-Christian society that we really live in? But I truly think, after kind of doing the research and doing this, that busyness is one of the largest killers of our faith today. And it's one of the things that puts a huge kind of subconscious or subliminal wall between us and God. It separates us from God. We may not be living this really immoral life, right? And we may feel good about that, which is a wonderful thing. That's what we're supposed to do. But we may be living this super busy life to where it completely separates us from us and God. When you are juggling so many things in your head and you're not even focused on the present task you have in front of you, and then consistently have to be stimulated by your phone or at night of like, I just got to sit down and maybe I'll watch a show or whatever it is, completely separating us from our relationship. I don't know if you've been there, but I've been here to where as like kind of like we do a small group with a few friends on Monday nights, and so often like my kind of check-in thing is I always say like, man, I wish I had more time to spend with God. I wish I made more time in my life for more devotionals, reading more with Jesus or whatever it is. And I don't know if you've ever been there to where maybe you think about, you're in a situation where you're thinking about your relationship with God. You're like, man, I wish I had more time to be able to do that. Or I'm too busy right now, or I feel too busy to spend time with Jesus. Or my personal favorite, after this season, I'm going to really dive into my Bible. I'm going to really dive into my devotionals. I'll wake up early, never do, wake up early, and I'm going to spend time with God, right? But after this season, for me, it's like after Royal Family is done, or after VBS is done, but after that thing is done, we'll fill it with space. We always do. After this big work project is done, or after I'm working these different hours, or once my kids are going to school, or once whatever that is, we consistently get in this space to where I say, once this is done, man, me and God are going to be tight. But do we ever get to that space? Dallas Willard said, hurry is the greatest enemy of the spiritual life in our day. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. There's nothing else. Walter Adams said to walk with Jesus is to walk with a slow, unhurried pace. It's our subconscious idol that has snuck into so many of our lives. To where mentally we're trying to do so many different things and filling so many different margins to where we are not paying attention to what God has for us. Our whole prayer life is just a hallway prayer to where maybe you see someone in the hallway and you're passing by, hey, how you doing? Great, okay, see you later, right? Our prayers turn into these small little bits, which aren't a bad thing. But the small little pieces of like, I forgot, I got to pray for that person. So you pray for 30 seconds and you're done. Or you lost your car keys, so you pray for 30 seconds and then you're done. Or whatever it is. Because we're so busy and we're too busy to spend time with God. But also, our brain space is completely filled up with overstimulation and all of these different things in life. We are constantly, even social media has gotten to be, the videos are shorter and shorter and shorter. With TikTok and YouTube Reels and Instagram Reels, it's shorter and shorter so that we can get more of a stimulation, the next thing, and we continue this kind of system or this cycle until at the end of the night, we don't know why we feel so exhausted and so empty. Because we're constantly busy, filling the margins with everything. I feel like often I can't like fold the clothes or do the dishes or drive somewhere without putting on a podcast. We're juggling too many things, running from place to place, and not understanding what God has for us. And Comer talks about in his book that there's actually a thing called hurry sickness. It's in the DSM, or you can look it up. Hurry sickness is that when you constantly are in the feeling of fatigue, or you constantly are feeling like you don't have enough time for anything. And it can affect so many aspects of our life. It can make it to where we can't have a spiritually or an emotionally healthy life. There are so many different effects. Anxiety is a big effect. Digital addiction. Lack of being able to have the relationship you want in your marriages or with your kids that you truly want. A lack of genuine relationships, of constantly feeling like when you're with a friend or when you're with someone else or interacting with someone maybe after in the lobby, if you're thinking of the next thing that you have to do, or you're too exhausted to be able to give the energy to that relationship that you want to. Chronic exhaustion, burnout, which leads to the lack of ability to process trauma or different life events. Also, the lack of the ability to be able to make the decisions that you want to make instead of the decisions that we do make that sometimes bring a little bit of maybe not fulfillment, but joy in our life. Here's a great example from me. I had a very busy day. This is a little while ago, a couple months ago. I had a very busy day. And on Thursdays, we bring Nora in to work with us. Nora is my 1-year-old daughter. And Thursdays, a lot of times, is my day to kind of watch Nora. Kaylee, who is my wife, she's the children's director here, sets up a lot of different things, so she has to be on the move on Thursdays for Sunday morning. So Thursdays, my day. But I had a retreat or something that weekend, and so I had to go into Lakewood, and I had to buy a bunch of different things for the retreat, and then I needed to get back over to church, and I knew the whole time, I'm like, all right, I need to get back to church, because Kaylee has a lot of different things that she should be doing, or that she needs to be doing, and I should be able to be watching Nora. And so as I'm kind of stressed, and as I'm rushing all around and trying to think and juggle of all these different things in my day or my weekend that I have to do, and hurrying, I sometimes, when I'm really stressed, I love to eat. Or when I'm not stressed, I love to eat. And so I thought to myself, man, I'm really hungry. I'm in Lakewood, I'm really hungry, plenty of choices. The choice I should have made was just a quick sandwich from somewhere in a drive-thru. The choice I did make was going to Sakura Buffet. Reminding you, I should be at the church. I really should. But I go to a sit-down Chinese buffet by myself at 11:10 in the morning. You may be thinking to yourself, wow, you must be really depressed. I couldn't have been happier. A choice that I really probably should not have made, because I should be getting things done and be getting over to the church so that Kaylee can do the things that she should be doing. She's relying on me to be able to watch Nora to get her stuff done. I didn't do that. And then, to make it better, the waitress at the end, after I ate many plates of food by myself, and the waitress came over. As she's coming over, I noticed to myself, I don't have my wallet. I was too busy trying to think about all the things I needed to do for the day that I forgot my wallet at home. And so she comes over, and sometimes the waiters or waitresses at this specific place kind of stand there and wait for you to take your card out, and then you put it on the tray, and then they'll take it over. And so as she's standing there, I'm like, I know it's not in my pocket, but I do the song and dance. I don't know. And so I said, I forgot my wallet. My wife is going to bring it. I panicked. It was a panic, big panic. I said, yeah, my wife will bring my wallet. Super sorry about that. And then the person laughed at me and then walked away. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't call Kaylee. I'm supposed to be getting back to the church really quick. She's going to be furious with me if she knows that I went and sat down in a restaurant to have lunch at 11:10 in the morning. And so I told the lady, my wife is coming. So I thought, who lives in Lakewood? Dan Courtney lives in Lakewood. And so I called Dan and I said, hey man, I'm in a situation here. And thankfully he works from home and he was on his lunch break. And so he brought me money to be able to pay for my lunch. I didn't tell him that the lady thinks my wife is coming. And so Dan comes in and sits down and goes to like kind of tries to like slightly hand me a $20 bill, and I'm like, nah, just it's fine, just give me the money. I wasn't thinking that I told the lady my wife was coming, and so she comes back and she looks at both of us, and then think, okay, it's 2024, takes the check. And I'm on my way, and I didn't realize this or think about this situation until afterwards. Oh, wow, yeah. And so then, I hadn't even gone and got my stuff yet from Walmart. I had to go home, get my wallet, do the shopping, get back to church. The decision that I really should not have made, but I made because I was in a hurry, I was stressed out, and I wanted to kind of fill that little void in there of like, oh, this food is just going to be so good, and I need this right now because I'm stressed out, right? And we all do that. We all do that with different things. Ruth Haley Barton has 10 signs you are moving too fast in life. The first one is irritability. Easily getting irritated with the people you love or maybe the friends that are around you, the people who are close to you. Easily getting irritated. Maybe they're interrupting you or doing like asking something and you immediately like, oh, that kind of irks me a little. Restlessness. When you finally get that time to sit down and to relax for a little bit, but you just can't. You have to go clean something. You have to go mow the lawn. You have to go tinker in the garage. You have to check your emails. You have to check Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is. Or maybe feeling guilty that you have that time that you really should be doing something productive. Compulsive working. Needing to spend that extra hour at work or having to do that extra task to feel like you're done for the day or having to check those extra emails when you really shouldn't be and be able to shut off when you're at home. Emotional numbness. Often we become emotionally numb when we're living this busy, going life, and the only two emotions that are usually left are fear and anxiety. Escapist behavior. To where finally at the end of the night when you have a minute, you're looking forward to that glass of wine, that beer, that TV show, or whatever it is. For me, I deleted all my social media because I was constantly on it with that escapist behavior. It's working okay. I watch a lot of YouTube, so I need to delete that now. But that escapist behavior to where we try to fill that void or fill that time of you don't really want, like you just feel too exhausted to kind of address the emotions that are there or maybe the thoughts or the feelings that you're there and you have to face but you just are too tired to. Disconnected from your identity or your calling. To where you're so busy in life and you're doing so much to where you feel disconnected from what you truly should be doing or who you truly are. I had a point in a couple days ago to where I'm just so busy and it's all with great tasks, with work and with different things. And I think to myself, like, what am I doing? At 9:30 at night, sitting here working. The next one is hoarding energy. Of feeling like, man, I can't have that conversation. I can't deal with that person right now. I can't answer that phone call because I just don't have the energy for it, and I need this energy for another task later in the day. Not able to attend basic human needs of skipping meals, skipping sleep, skipping healthy and normal relationships that we should have in our life. The last one of slipping from our spiritual practices. Of not having enough time in our life for what God has for us. The most important piece. I think busyness is the modern day idol. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the story of these three at the time Israelites, at a place, and the king ordered that when the trumpets played and all these different instruments played, every time that they hear that, anyone in the nation hears that, they have to kneel and worship this idol that they created. I think that the busyness of life, or this pressure that we have to have everything picked up clean, or this pressure of like, if you're not working 60 hours a week, then like, what are you doing? Is those trumpets and those musical instruments that we kneel to. The modern day idol that Satan kind of subliminally puts in our life. That maybe not realizing you have this problem until 2 weeks go by and you haven't talked to God once. This space to where we want to know Jesus. We want to know God, but our biggest hurdle is time. In Comer's book, he talks about how time is the biggest thing that people struggle with, the biggest reason why people aren't deeper in their faith, more mature in their faith, or have a better relationship with Jesus is because we just don't allow us to have enough time. Craig Groeschel did a wonderful message on hurriedness, and he talked about, he had this great point, nowhere in the Bible does it say that Jesus ran. Not even a brisk jog. He wasn't running anywhere. As we are called to be like Jesus, as we're called to look at Jesus' life and say, all right, I need to match my life to be like that. Nowhere was he running. Nowhere was he in a hurry. He had a lot of different tasks he did. He had a lot of wonderful things he did, but he was always able to stop at the interruptions of life, the interruptions that God had for him. For me, sometimes I get really annoyed at interruptions. When I'm trying to go somewhere and I see someone I haven't seen since high school and they're like, hey, let's catch up the past 12 years. I'm like, I don't have time. But really, God maybe put that person in my life to be able to tell them about Jesus. Or maybe they needed something in their life to where I should be able to be there and have a conversation with someone, but I am too busy to pay attention to them. I don't have enough time to see the amazing things that God would have for me in my life if I just slowed down. Jesus, before and after most of his bigger events or bigger things he did, was he kind of separated himself and he prayed. Luke 3:21-22, at his baptism he prayed. Mark 1:35-36, in the morning before he headed to Galilee, he prayed. Luke 5:16, after healing people, he prayed. Luke 6:12-13, praying all night before choosing his 12 disciples. Matthew 11:25-26, while speaking to the Jewish leaders, he prayed. John 6:11, giving thanks to the Lord before he fed the 5,000, he prayed. Matthew 14:23, before walking on water, he prayed. Mark 7:31-37, while healing a deaf and mute, he prayed. Matthew 15:36, giving thanks to the Lord before feeding the 4,000, he prayed. And so on and so forth. I'm not going to read all of them. That's a lot of them. Jesus constantly stopping to pray, no matter what he's doing. Seeing what God had for him in those divine interruptions. Are we so busy in our life to where we just walk past all of God's divine interruptions in our life? Do we become angry at those interruptions? Are we stopping to pray? Are we too busy? Comer talks about the ruthless elimination of hurry. We have to make radical changes in our life. It's hard. I haven't done it yet. I'm trying. It's hard to do, to take out this hurry in our life. And doing things aren't bad. Doing tasks, loving people, going to youth group, sports, all those things are great things. But when we find ourselves so in a hurry to where we can't show people Jesus' love or just feel the love of Jesus, that's a problem. There's this woman, I forgot her name, so forgive me. She was a big piece of the Holocaust and taking a lot of Jews out of the concentration camps, but she talks about if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. If the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy, as it separates us for the amazing things and blessings that Jesus has for us. Matthew 11:28 says, then Jesus said, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Being tired is not a bad thing. I'm exhausted right now. Did a wedding yesterday. I have like 14 jobs. Royal family's coming up, and I'm helping Kaylee co-direct that. But when we're tired, I so often look to different things like Sakura Buffet at 11:10 in the morning. I look to different things to fill that tiredness or to say, this is going to be filling. At the end of the night, to watch 3 episodes of whatever we're watching. And at the end of that, I'm not like, man, I'm so filled and I feel so close to God, right? He says, come to me, those who are weary and burdened. When we feel burnt out on people, come to me. When we feel burnt out in our jobs, come to me. When we have a heavy burden of a trauma, come to me. Are we going to Jesus with these things? Or are we stuck in our phones and looking for that quick stimulation to separate us and to kind of dodge the feelings that we don't really want to address? Are we too tired to be able to do that? Or in our relationships with others, are we too exhausted? I hate my cell phone. I'm a horrible texter backer. That's not a word. I'm horrible at texting back. Most of you guys, if you ever have texted me, you're like, yeah, you're right. My parents are like, I haven't talked to them in 6 years. Thanks, Dad. Oh, you're here? Cool. Sweet. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. I'm terrible at it, but because I get so stressed out when someone texts me and I don't have either the answer or we went to a wedding last night. I got home and there was 24 text messages on my phone. I wanted to throw up. I was gone for 2.5 hours. 24 text messages. My phone, and I kind of hated that. In society now, we think that people we should immediately be able to get someone's attention and they should be immediately responding to our question or comment all the time. It's the worst. And there's 2 ends of that. For me, man, it stresses me out, or if I don't have the answer, I don't text back until I have the answer. It's a terrible strategy because then I forget about it and I never text back. But it stresses me out because it's like sometimes I just don't want to do that. I don't want to constantly be at other people's attention and be going back and forth. And it's interesting. Church staff, when they do a study of who is the busyness in life, pastors and church staff are up there with lawyers and doctors, with people who are the busiest in life. But we also, on the other end, expect people to immediately text back, immediately answer my email. Beforehand, before cell phones, you called someone's house phone. If they weren't home, you call again in like 2 hours. You're not immediately angry that they're not answering their phone or calling back. We have created this crazy busy schedule or culture in our life. And it can create such a tough scenario in our life to where we can't have these healthy relationships with people. To where we can't give enough energy and time at the end of the day to when you sit down with your spouse. Do you have enough energy to truly invest in that relationship? Or are you just looking for that escapist thing, whatever it is? Are you too exhausted to have real conversations? I noticed at youth group on Wednesday nights, there's a lot of students. And I noticed myself in such a busy to try to talk to everyone or get all the tasks done or set up the game or try to remember my message or some random whatever is going on. Tell kids to stop throwing balls at each other in the foyer. To where my conversations were, hey, how you doing? How's school going? Okay, cool, I'll be right back. I never come back. It's a horrible flaw I had. I'm trying to fix to where I maybe had a conversation with all the kids in youth group, but I never had an impactful conversation. Or for me in my life of the same thing, of the busyness on a Sunday morning, and I'm sure some of the other staff members can feel this, to where there's so many tasks that we feel like we have to get done to where we can't pay attention to the single person we should be having a conversation with. We're so exhausted that we can't have a real and intimate relationship with our children or the friends around us. The busyness of life affects us. And for me, as going through this message, all of this hit hard. And thinking about it of like, all right, what's the solution here? I don't know. But God, last night, as I was kind of going over my sermon, I like to on Saturday nights kind of go over them a little bit, so I'm not just reading the whole time. I'm not always writing them. Maybe last night, but I was going over my sermon and thought to myself, I've been so busy, I haven't even prayed about it yet today. So I sat there and I gave my time to God and I prayed about it. I spent time with Jesus and I let Him relax my heart, my brain, and my body. And knowing the amazing presence of God and that knowing that God is going to hopefully speak through me, praying to humble my heart and my words this morning so that Jesus is what comes out. And right there, learning that we have to ruthlessly eliminate hurry in our life so it stops affecting so many aspects that we deal with day-to-day basis. So my challenge for you this morning is think about your life. Do a little inventory check. Even if they're good things or if they're bad things in your life, are you too hurried? Do you have time and energy to be able to have a deep and meaningful relationship with the God who loves you and created you? Are you letting God's glorious interruptions filter into your life? And think about what needs to go. This morning, probably some radical things need to happen in our lives. And that's always hard to do. Of eliminating hurry and being able to just fill in that space with Jesus. Knowing the distracting things that we try to filter in to make ourselves feel a little bit better in that moment. Instead of doing that, turning to God. Shutting off our phones, our TVs, and opening our Bibles, or just sitting in silence with God. Letting Him fill you with the Holy Spirit. So that's my challenge for you today. That's as simple as we can get. Of just spending time with God. Learning how to love others like He loves us. So I'm going to invite the worship team back up. Hopefully they're here. We got one, folks. Attaboy, Josh. I'm going to pray this morning as we kind of soak in this last song or worship in this last song is our time to reflect on our times and our offering and our tithes. There we are, our tithes and offerings. If this is your first time here, we do not expect you to give. But offering and tithing is a wonderful way to worship, to give back to what God has given to you. And so as we do that, I'm going to pray over our offering, and then I'll let you guys get to it. I'm going to move this. Lord, thank you for this amazing day. Lord, slow us down, God. Help us to realize where we need to slow our life down before you do it for us, God. Help us to focus in on you and knowing what we need to ruthlessly eliminate, Jesus. We thank you so much for your grace and your mercy and your love that you have for us, Lord. In your name, amen. Let's see God's victory today. His victory that he has for you of taking out the hurry and the pointless things that we do on our day-to-day basis and focusing in on our relationship with God and what God has for us. Go, church, ruthlessly eliminate the hurry and busyness in your life. Thank you.